right, Taurus, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and continue with your reading. I'm going to be using the Medicine Women tarot deck by Carol Bridges. So if you're not familiar with this deck, it's a really interesting deck based off of the idea of the Medicine Woman. Okay, so Taurus, you have a very interesting reading here for the week of March 7th. I'm going to go ahead and clarify sort of to see what's going on, the energies, what's sort of behind, what's going on underneath each of these readings. I'm going to begin with the change. So what is the change, right? So what is that change that you're wanting to make? What's the sort of basis, spirit, for Taurus change here? All right, so looking in the mirror, seeing like, hey, it's time for me to do something different. Spirit, can we go ahead and clarify what is the change? Make the change that you're telling Taurus to go ahead and do, Spirit. All right, so the strength, and in this deck it's called healing. So definitely Spirit is encouraging you to make some changes that are going to bring in some healing for you. Death, another major arcana card here, right? Sunset. So time for change. This is awesome, right? Like this is remarkable here, right? Two of arrows. And what you see here in this card is this woman is focused on her target. She is going to hit it, and what is guiding her, if you look there in the background, and we've got her ancestor, and it looks like some wolf and buffalo energy, right? Some wolf. Is that wolf or coyote? I'm trying to sense which one. That's wolf. Is that wolf? Sorry. Yeah, it's definitely wolf energy and buffalo or bison energy guiding her, right? As well as an ancestor speaking into her ear. So you're being guided by your ancestors. You've got the energy of wolf. Wolf energy definitely being that energy of standing in your truth, marking your own trail, doing things your way. You know, the wolf doesn't... she doesn't shy away from challenges. She moves right in there, just trying to get a better view, a little bit of a glare there. And then you can see, right, like that ancestor has their hand on the buffalo, using the energy, right, the energy of the bison, the strength of the bison. And that's the same idea of, right, we have these, using the strength of the bear, bringing together these different animal energies, as well as building a new life, healing. We see the baby on the woman's shoulder in this card. And so you're doing that by making this change. Spirit is guiding you and encouraging you that you're going to heal. And we've already talked about that here in the moon card, right? There's already been a lot of healing work going on for you. And there's something that you need to do, right? Go ahead and step into it. You already know you're ready. You're ready to get on up to that next level and speak your truth. So big transformation for you this week. Big transformation available to you this week, Taurus. That's going to bring in healing. It is going to bring in a death. But, in this deck, it's like riding off into the sunset. Like you have completed a cycle. That leveling up in the ladder here. Your ancestors are guiding you and telling you where to head next, right? The two of arrows. It's time to make that decision. It's time to set your sights on new horizons and make that change. You know where you're going. Just pull that arrow. You've got your sight set on the target. And it's riding off into the sunset, right? Like that's kind of a nice warm image. You've done a chapter of your life, and that chapter needs to close out because you've gotten a life experience. You've learned from it. It does feel to me, with the sword energy, with, again, this Ten of Swords needing to boot out some people from your life. This was a painful, there's something that was painful that you've been doing for a while that you need, that needs to end, that needs to heal in your life. And this change is going to bring that healing in. Behind the woman, you know, rainbows, like double rainbows waiting for you. Triple rainbows. There's even one more, right? This connectedness between nature and you and family, like healing a lot of, you know, your connection to people and places. You're, you know, having this child being a new life, and then in the Two of Arrows, your ancestors back there. This is again healing work. You know, perhaps inheriting some family patterns, some dysfunction, some karmic lessons from our families that we were raised in, that we carry on. But there's a way in which this transformation, when you make this change, is breaking some cycles, breaking some karmic cycles for you. And standing, right? Speaking. This isn't even standing. In this one, it's speaking your truth. So let's go ahead and clarify the King of Swords, or Shaman, or Shamanka, in this of Swords, female shaman. Spirit, what is going on? What is this for Taurus, right? What is behind? What is, I really want to say, what is the change? We've talked about the change that you need to make is a healing change. You need to end something. You know the direction you're going. You're being guided by your ancestors. Go ahead and make those changes. Looking at this Shaman of Swords, I'm thinking like, what is it that you're ready to do, right? So what is this, can you go ahead and clarify, Spirit, the Shaman of Swords? There's just something you're about ready to do. Again, right? Like here's this arrows energy, bow and arrows, using your intuition to hit that target. She's blindfolded, but you know, I don't need to see, because I know. I don't need to see. It's not what's in front of my eyes. It's not what you're showing me. It's what I'm feeling. I'm aiming from the heart. 9 of Arrows. You've gotten those messages. This is the 9 of Swords in this deck. You've got the world before you. In this case, a little bit different energy, but both of them, actually they would play out in this. Oh, that's interesting. Deck, but you've got the, you know, the 9 of Arrows and the 2 of Swords, or 2 of Arrows. One is guided, right? The universe is guiding you by spirit, by your ancestors, and the 9, right? We have the world in front of us. Where am I going in the world? I'm using one's intuitive sense. So let's see what else is here. 8 of Stones, or 8 of Pentacles. You know, there's some work. This woman is weaving some beads. So it looks like a change in work, I would really say, or material circumstances, something about a change in work that's coming in for you. Abundance, that could also be abundance there as well with the jewels and the grandmothers, right? Speaking of ancestors, in this deck, this is the moon. Again, we get the moon card here. Getting those intuitive messages, the 9 of using your intuition to guide you, so that you know like what's right for you. So the grandmothers and the 9 of Swords here, or 9 of Arrows, using your intuition to guide you. The grandmothers planting those ideas, looking into our dreams, seeing inside of ourselves, listening to the spirits, listening to our guides, our ancestors on what's right, what's true for us. This change is happening very much in a material sense, right? There's some change that you want to make to work, or in how you bring in abundance, some type of, definitely just work. I really sense this is around your workplace. Yeah, or wealth. Something to do with work or wealth. Yeah, cleaning house, right? This cleaning of house. It's in here in the Ten of Swords. The moon energy also coming up, right? Like what we get in our dreams, our thoughts of our dreams. This card is an 18 card for the moon. Yeah, 18 cards. So that those reduced to 9. So we've got a 9 here, a 9 here, and then the 9 of arrows. So ending of a cycle. Ending of a cycle here. 10 also indicating the end of a cycle. Okay, so Spirit, let's go ahead and clarify the moon. What kind of healing work? I'm suspecting we've got some healing work here. Here is 3 of pipes, figuring out what you want to do. This is 3 of wands in this deck. This person is moving on from a dream world into the real world, right? So coming out of the moon, coming out of the shadows, the shadow work that you've done within yourself, and ready to take that information and move forward. Absolutely. Here's the world card, right? Dancer in this deck. It's the end of a cycle. It's celebrating what you've learned and the beginning of a new one, the world card. Completing that cycle again, this is in alignment very much with this, right? This ladder, this leveling up, and that's confirmed by the world. And then Hermit, right? So taking, as you move into the world, definitely feeling like you're taking the knowledge of the last cycle and becoming that hermit, moving into the world, taking your wisdom to the world as you step through this new portal, right? So make that change because you're stepping into a new portal to be a guide for others. This is what you've decided to do, right? You can see the 3 of pipes and the hermit. You've done the healing work. So now it is your job to guide others who need you as they are waiting, right? Waiting for you to help them on their journey. So that's what's actually happening here. Just to keep that in mind, Taurus. You've gotten these messages. You're making changes to your work. You're done with like trying to fit in. Yeah, this is definitely that fitting in card. You're changing who you are, what you see in the mirror. You've done a lot of healing to find your truth. Your ancestors are whispering in your ears like, hey, and the animal spirits, we you know, we're going to get some advice in the oracle from that. We're telling you where to go, what to do. But this is so that you can be a guide to others. Because what you have learned is how to do the dance. How to do the dance of life. Whoops, dropping my cards. Yeah. You've been a dance. Oops, it's a guide. How to do. Where's my light? It's a little bright. The dance of life, right? You've been this dancer, and now you're going to teach others. You've been around the world, in your own world. You've managed to figure out the highs and lows to complete that cycle. All of that was so that you could step into your role as a guide. Okay? You're going to be this wise leader. You're going through this portal, just to reaffirm that if I wasn't clear, to guide others on. It's time to step into your it's time to level up and shine that light, right? Shine your light for others. What you've learned in this journey. The lovers. Let's go ahead and clarify the lovers that Spirit is bringing in. I'm very curious because there's this duality in the lovers about dealing with this sort of love and hate, choosing love. There's some kind of duality. Whoops. All right, we got 10 of stones, which is 10 of pentacles. Here, like I was saying, this has a lot. This is to do with your work, changing your material circumstances, the way in which you do work, completion of a cycle, but possibly you're the person in this picture, right, who is selling, right, who is peddling your wares, but the wares that you're peddling is this wisdom, this guidance. Totem of stones. In this deck, this is knight. The totems are the knight, the snake the crawlers. So snakes are important, right, for life. So with the snake or the crawlers, I don't know if any of you, like, this is such an interesting metaphor. So we can see here, there's the snakes, there's worms, there's a plant. I do composting. I love having discovered it. In order to break things down, right, like the best compost has worms. And it's really interesting, like watching, like my trash is reduced down to like nil. And that's because I compost everything. I know there's like these rules about, oh, organic gardening. Listen, like I think it's just so sustainable that I can take paper bags and magazines and old mail and construct everything that comes from anything organic. If it's organic, not like flesh of animals or any of that, but organic material, had it originally come from a plant, even if it's got dyes and whatever on it, it's been amazing to just watch it break down. And how does everything break down? Our crawlers, right? Our snakes, the things that we don't see underneath the earth. But because of all of that activity, there is this breakdown. There is this breakdown of the old, the shedding of the skin that the snake does in order to give life to something new, right? So out of, I don't know, the totem of the stones, the crawlers, like look underneath the stones, like underneath the surface, and there's all this activity, there's all this rebirth going on. We don't think it's a whole lot, but without those creatures, without those worms breaking down the debris, there could be no new life. And literally there could. The soil would be no good. I live in Florida. It's sandy soil, but the ground, like the material that I have created out of taking things that are no longer of use to me, right? I mean, that's such a metaphor for our lives. Taking the things that are, I don't know, what's the word I want? Like, essentially my garbage, right? What metaphorically is in our life, our garbage, the pain that we go through, the relationships that we, went through that maybe they were great, gosh, they could have been better. Our pain, the things we're bored with, we're done with, we've had the experiences, all of that gets churned up and it creates a new kind of life. It's also a reminder to not to overlook the small, right? The small steps and efforts. As you step into being your guide, being a guide for others, being a guide in this world, guiding us into the light and those who will follow you from your lessons of healing. Don't think you have to be big to be important, because these snakes, these worms, without them, not only would we not have new life, right? Plants require those worms and snails. My camera's not refocusing. Plants require that. And we require plants, right, to breathe. The whole planet is interconnected. This is true too for those of you that feel like I'm not very significant. Oh, please never, never, never underestimate your power. And that's what Spirit is telling you, Taurus. No small thing that you do, everything is connected. So 10 of stones, totem of stones, building that strong foundation. Spirit is trying to build in a foundation based on things in love. Love is in alignment to your truth, things that are in balance with who you are. It's time to shed your skin, right? We've got death here. You've done that healing work, so it's time to emerge. 6 of bowls or 6 of cups here is really, again, this can be a soulmate kind of card. There's the twin dolphins. And again, we've got the lover. So there could be a lover coming in. Maybe someone that you're going to be working with together, a twin or a counterpart in this way. Could be romantic twin. It could be, twin flame is specific to a certain kind of energy, but there could be a kind of soulmate or someone who who mirrors, right? There's these two dolphins. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. There's this kind of imagery of symmetry in this card, this coming back together, this circle of completion, in conjunction with this, right? This is clarification of the Lover's card, of choosing love. The same kind of sunset or sunrise, if you will. I think that's a sunset, that we see in death, right? There's a rebirth, a recycling, a healing, a reflecting, a remembering, and coming back into who you truly are. Right. In a much more relaxed state of being. Okay, so the last card to clarify is what you don't see is that cleaning of house, what's going on with these Ten of Swords. You know, I wonder too, like kind of looking at this card, thinking about like how people are living in your mind, right? The cleaning of house is your own house. Like what's up in your head. This is the Ten of Swords. And like booting all these people out of your head. Like all of that, like counsel of negativity. Like, oh my gosh, you could never do that. The voices. The voices. Right? And like getting rid of those voices. Like, bye voices. Bye. Because the voice I'm going to listen to now, right? Whose voices are we listening to? Our own voice. Our voice of our ancestors. You know, the voice of our grandmothers. And of course, our own voice. I don't even need to see where I'm aiming because I know where I'm going. I'm trusting what's inside of me. So yeah, kicking out, cleaning house in the mind, right? Get out of my head. Get out of my head. I'm done. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I've listened to other people for too long. I'm now stepping through this portal, right? It's time for a new day. I'm going through the portal. It's time. It's time to come out of the dream and into reality. All right, Spirit, clarify please for me the Ten of Swords. Another 10. Right, we've got 10 of Stones, 10 of Swords. This one's 10 of Bowls or 10 of Cups in this deck. So this is like once you clear that clutter in your mind, now you're free. You're free to be you. Like you're doing a hula dance, you're having a good time, you're celebrating, you're coming back to your roots. I mean, there's definitely in this second half, right, in the second half of the cards, moving, you know, more into a natural state of being, like shedding our clothing, you know, maybe putting on minimalist kinds of clothing. I don't even sure if these women have shirts on. They don't. For the most part, they don't in this. So, you know, their breasts are bare. I mean, really a kind of returning to a much more tribal, naturalistic way to live, as opposed to these kinds of, you know, images with us, you know, in these kind of heavy garments. Like she doesn't feel like she's in her natural state, right? That drab outfit doesn't really feel to me like she's really celebrating her body or stepping into her power. And this isn't to say that the images of people in clothing are without power, but there's just something freeing about not having all the constraints of the body in this way. 5 of Stones, this is 5 of Pentacles in this deck, right? Again, this idea of redoing abundance. In this case, the 5 of Stones in this deck is one of, instead of freaking out because you're losing money, it's like you're happy to give. You're moving into a state of flow. It's not this state of scarcity and being afraid, like, oh, what's going to happen to my money? I have to hoard and hold. No, you're in a free-flowing state. So in a traditional deck, the 5 of Pentacles is like, oh, I'm in poverty. I have a poverty mindset. Here it's like, I'm happy to give. I'm giving because I know more is coming in, right? We're in love. We're in love. We've moved all of this noise out of our head. And then, of course, what else is behind that, kicking those people out of our head, is knowing your truth and being in alignment. And you see with this Ace of Swords or Ace of Arrows is who's over us, our internal selves, our yin energy, right? Very feminine cards here. And that is our divine goddess. our divine goddess that's guiding us, our ancestors, our mother. There's, again, the owl, again, wolf energy. I wouldn't be surprised in the animal spirit reading if we didn't pull a wolf card out of that. All right, so that's your clarification there, Taurus, for you on the bottom of the deck. Exemplar of stones in this deck, that's King of Pentacles, right? So stepping into your power of abundance, but doing it from a place of love, doing it in a place from authenticity. And as you do this, you're healing. Not only, this is not about abundance in this life, but this is, healing family issues around money, historical traumas that, maybe around of money or abundance, which really translates to worth. Not worth in the material sense outside of yourself, but worth internally. Where is your self-worth? How do you know what your self-worth is? This is what you don't see. Kicking all these bad boys out of your head, developing that self-confidence, really stepping into your joy and in alignment with your truth. Riding off into the sunset for a new day, to be the spiritual guide for others so that they can do the same, right? Find their same power. Amazing, Taurus. Woo! Can't wait to see what you guys do out there. Sure, going to do some good stuff. We're going to round out this reading message from your animal spirit guide, Stephen Farmer. So we'll go ahead and pull a card to close out the reading and for the rest of this week. So you've got your work cut out for you this week, Taurus, but I mean, the reward is amazing. You are going to feel so empowered, particularly, when you decide to make the change. There's a change that you've been sitting on, thinking about. You know what that change is. It changes around your work, around your material abundance and flow. Make the change. You're going to feel great. You're in alignment with what Spirit is trying to bring into your life. What you don't necessarily recognize and see, though, is that is also going to change what's that noise, right? You're going to be kicking out people in your physical life, probably cleaning house there. But definitely that noise in your head that's always chattering away, telling you what you're supposed to be, or how you may or may not be good enough. All right, Taurus. Taurus energy is who shows up today for you. This week, you are fragmented, so do whatever it takes to get grounded. Okay, that's interesting. So what the Taurus is here to do is to help you get grounded. And change can be a little bit frightening. It does look like you're going through a pretty significant change. You've come and brought forth some truths to yourself. You've healed yourself a lot, and you might be feeling like, I'm not sure, about doing this change. But Taurus says, I got you. Just let's get grounded and do whatever it takes here. So I'm just going to go ahead and read you the card for Taurus. When you're feeling pressure from any number of fronts pulled this way and that by the demands of modern life, it is very easy to succumb to a false sense of urgency, feel out of balance and fragmented, and be in a constant state of tension. Okay, so this is, because you have so much sword energy, mental energy, it is important when we have so much air energy to also not get carried away in our thinking, and that Taurus is really trying to keep you from kind of getting into anxiety and frenzied and all of that. You can become forgetful and have difficulty sleeping. You may even attempt to stabilize and center yourself by resorting to the use of addictive substances or activities, hoping they'll help you feel more calm in your own skin. Meanwhile, your mind rushes ahead from one thing to the next while your body tries to play catch up. The technological web, consisting of computers, internet, cell phones, faxes, and televisions, plus the noises all around, create a constant assault on your senses. Exhausting, isn't it? First, you need to recognize that most things you treat as emergencies and crises are merely inconveniences. So just slow down, Taurus, this week. Move a little bit slower than you're accustomed to, which is actually, you usually move pretty slow, Taurus. So we're moving into tortoise mode, okay? And that is because with this kind of change, you can kind of get a little bit frenzied and maybe be a little bit of a bull in a china shop and start tearing things down, particularly with that Ten of Swords. They're running around in your brain. You're kicking those people out, but that might make you feel a bit uncomfortable. So Spirit is just saying, your tortoise energy that's coming through the tortoise, animal spirit is saying, let's just breathe, practice some breath work, and developing and making sure that you just take your time and find your own internal rhythm rather than being in a state of continuous reactivity to outside forces. Spend time in nature and take off your shoes and socks. Putting your bare feet on the ground allows you to truly experience a solid connection to the earth. Okay, so we're trying to calm down and not be so much in all of that. We do have a lot of mental energy. We do have a lot of swords of energy. So you're going to need to ground, not to completely, go kind of cuckoo in your transition. Getting out into nature, I was saying that again, as the reading progressed, we sort of saw ourselves taking off our clothes and getting back to a more tribal sense. So get outside. I know I live in Florida, so it's warm here already. It was warm most of the year anyways. But for those of you in colder climates, try to find ways to connect with nature to rebound. Even if it's just maybe even the sounds of nature, maybe putting on a blindfold and just listening, tuning out. But you need to go slower, Taurus, if that's possible. And I chuckle. I'm a Taurus too, so I know making change is not the first thing we do. But when a Taurus wants to make change, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, and I'm going to blast through everything. And spirit, Tortoise energy is saying, Tortoise is like way slow, way slow. We need to think about that for a second. Just slow it down. Probably because you need to take your time. Sorry, my camera is being a little. You need to take your time to savor in what's happening in the current moment, as well as making sure that you sort of, you're going to make these big changes, but they don't happen overnight, right? So just give yourself the time this week to get through them. Spirit is saying, though, make that change. Make that change. Start that process. But don't let the process then be like, okay, I'm going ahead. I'm just going to clear all this out and knock all this stuff down. And we don't want to do that. Just ground yourself, because what's going to happen is you're going to pop, right? Like you're going to just burn out your own energy and pop. Like a firework, and then all the energy goes somewhere. It's not going to dissipate the change. The change is happening. You want the change. Spirit wants the change. This change is good for you. It's healing change. It brings you into your life path and lets you step up to that next level. It's just, let's make sure we stay grounded, right? Think of the tortoise this week, Taurus. Stay grounded and slow down so that you can ease into that change. Right, do this. There's the hard way, and then there's the easy way. Either way, you're going through it. But Tortoise says, "Hey, I'm here to help you. Come hang out with me for a while." Slow. Alrighty, Taurus. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week.